I'm starting to think that WWE is running out of options. One of the cool things about being a wrestling fan is when there's a return, a big return from a legend, from somebody that's been out of action for a prolonged period of time and seeing them reemerge. I remember when there's returns in the 2000s where The Undertaker would make his return as the American Badass, Stone Cold coming back from injury, The Rock showing up from leaving to go do movies for a bit, Chris Jericho making several returns to the company. And then I couldn't wait to see what kind of run they would go on, who they would feud with, what stories they would tell. Over time now, especially in the modern era, majority of our fan favorites have retired or are about to retire. A whole generation of superstars that have hung up the boots, like The Undertaker, Triple H, Mankind. Kurt Angle can't wrestle anymore. Eddie Guerrero is sadly not with us, and it would have been so cool to see what kind of legendary career he could have kept having. I mean, pick your favorite wrestler from Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, and they're typically not around. But a lot of the times now, WWE will, well, they'll go and dust them off, offer a lot of money and a big contract, and then we get to see one of our fan favorites once again. Sometimes it works out great, sometimes it's just very cringe and it just hurts our eyeballs like Goldberg. And as a fan, I get so excited when I see one of these returns. Stone Cold Steve Austin shows back up on TV, the glass breaks, and I will pop. Huge. I will love it. It's all nostalgia. The live crowd loves it. One of the big returns that we had in the modern era recently would be CM Punk's return at Survivor Series. Nobody expecting it. Nobody knew it was coming. The show was ending and Cult of Personality hit. It blew me away. And those are big, awesome moments I love having as a fan. But I don't think WWE can really keep doing this much longer. Right now, it feels like every time there is a big special, a new partnership with ESPN or Netflix or different streaming platform has been announced, come together, or a new country that they're going to go and visit, it seems like let's pull out whatever person we have to be able to pop a rating and a buy. I get it. It's business. You want to be able to attract the markets, lapsed fans, new fans, bring people in. A lot of buzz, a lot of conversation around it. I'm just starting to put a list together though of the returns we've had, the ones we could see, and maybe WWE is about to have a bigger problem on their hands than they realize because the well is running dry. So for example, we had CM Punk, like I mentioned, Survivor Series, he makes his return. It's absolutely huge in Chicago. We're seeing Punk on what might be his last run for the next 5 years or so. We don't know, but this is probably it for him. Wrestling at a consistent full-time basis. Sure, maybe in a couple of years, he might just be a WrestleMania special. John Cena is another name. We had John Cena at Money in the Bank 2024, and that's where he made his return to announce his retirement. And we are right now in the John Cena retirement tour. And we could also talk about how the whole heel turn to face turn in retirement has gone. For some fans, it's been great. People love the heel turn. The execution of the face turn was kind of mid if you ask me, and not very compelling, maybe a wasted opportunity. And we're still waiting to see though, as we're going through it, what final opponents John may have. The Rock returns all the time, right? He returns when he feels like he needs to, when it's WrestleMania season, when there's something hot, big juicy storyline. But also you have the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. They obviously wanted to pack that show to make it huge. It's Netflix, it's debut, big whoop-de-doo, massive deal for TKO. So they have The Rock show up. Doesn't really do anything, but of course it pops the crowd. And with their debut episode on Netflix, it's, I think, the highest rated episode on Netflix that they've had thus far. And with The Rock, before that, we've had him with the Bloodline, Cody, WrestleMania, and WrestleMania 40 was really big because of The Rock's involvement. Then you go even further down the list. Alexa Bliss, 2025 Royal Rumble, made a return. Massive ovation. Bliss is so over all the time, and she was gone for such a long time. Rumors of not being able to get on the same page with WWE for creative, wondering when she would come back and what capacity. And Royal Rumbles are always built kind of like that. You get celebrities, you get people returning, like Edge did couple of years ago too. Then we get other specials where you have Saturday night's main event. Look out. There's an AEW show happening the same day. What do we need to do? We need to bring out Goldberg and have him retire at Saturday night's main event on cable television and cut him off for his retirement speech at the very end. Because it's TV. It is 10:01 hits and it's news time. Nikki Bella made a return. Originally slotted to go at Evolution against, we think, Liv Morgan. What was Evolution? It's also going head to head with AEW. Seems to be a common thread. And even as I say this, I read that they moved AEW All Out to earlier in the day. so that it's not going to be at the same time as WrestlePalooza, because WWE is trying to counter program them all the time now. And we'll talk about the Palooza soon. But Brock Lesnar, another name, showed up at SummerSlam. Haven't seen Brock ever since, have we? Whether people like Brock Lesnar or don't like Brock Lesnar, got fans buzzing. The live crowd didn't boo, and they didn't just sit on their hands doing nothing. They cheered for it. It was a big moment that got everybody talking. And now Brock Lesnar has come back in some form or fashion to challenge John Cena. And we assume, like as I'm recording this now, hasn't been confirmed, but looks to be John Cena versus Brock at WrestlePalooza. And speaking of WrestlePalooza, it's a show that was shoehorned in there with a combination of things. But mostly, I think, AEW. AEW having their pay-per-view running that weekend. WWE signs a multi-billion-dollar deal with ESPN on their new streaming platform for all the PLEs in the United States. So if you're Canada International, we still get it all on Netflix. But for US customers, they're going to have to fork out $30 unless it's through your cable provider and you already get the ESPN. But they make a whole new PLE just to counter this. And then they want to load up as much star power as possible. And again, I understand it. It makes total sense. You want to be able to have everyone talking about your product, not their product. She didn't have this PLE, this premium live event scheduled at all. It was all just seemingly to say, don't watch AEW, watch WWE. And then we're gonna load this thing up even more with the likes of Brock Lesnar, and now all but confirmed return of AJ Lee. And some fans I've seen even comments and online saying, why are they doing this? Who cares about AJ Lee? Oh, she was in the Divas era. She never wrestled very well. Who really cares about all of this? I think even that era, the wrestling for the women was not great. Just on a sidebar there, it wasn't the best era of women's wrestling. I think AJ Lee as a character stood out amongst the crowd, and I think the matches she did have were, at the time, I think stood out above and beyond what others may have been able to do on the roster. And so I think for many fans and fans of AJ Lee, they're looking to see, oh, if she came back to the company, who could she feud with? I think there's a lot more talent now that can go in the ring and tell compelling stories, and that's part of the excitement here. But it also feels like we got this big PLE that we made up, and we need to throw some more stars at it. So let's see if we can fork out enough money and get AJ Lee to make a comeback. And that's not the only one. Chris Jericho is also on the list. Jericho's been rumored for a couple of weeks now. Haven't seen him on AEW television for quite some time. It seems to be a thing with Tony Khan, is that if their contracts are about to be coming up, and they're not going to renew, they're not sure what they're going to do, they just go quiet. They don't feature them at all. Just ride this thing out. I mean, WrestlePalooza is turning out to be a very, very big show. We don't even have the big show, but if he wasn't in AEW, they might bring in the big show. But they might even have Chris Jericho show up at WrestlePalooza. While I do think Jericho will make a WWE return, him showing up at the Palooza, I think that's almost overkill. When you have Brock on the show, you have Cena in one of his final matches, AJ Lee coming back in a tag team match. There's a lot happening on that show. You throw Jericho on there, it almost feels like, where would he fit in? But Jericho, if he does come back, I mean, he could go up at Crown Jewel. He could show up at the end of Survivor Series like Punk did. Royal Rumble, and you get him for WrestleMania season. Other names on the list, Paige. Paige has been rumored for quite some time. She's wrapped up with AEW, and you never know. That could all be in the works. We have no idea. And I'd like to see Paige come back in WWE and see what she can do. You can have Paige versus AJ Lee once again and do it all over again. But it's another name that WWE could try to pull from the past to show off and have a short-term or long-term run with, and slot it in when they want to counter-program AEW or boost the ratings like they do with The Rock at Elimination Chamber, that ticket sales are down, so let's spike them a bit. And that's where I wonder about names like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin's last match he had was the WrestleMania match against Kevin Owens, and I loved all of that. But Austin, it's always been kind of out there, hasn't it? That, oh, he could come back, or it's the right opponent, the build, and is the creative right for him? And I've always liked that Austin has not come back. I have. I know that the Kevin Owens match was very much just a brawl, but sure. I mean, I got to see Stone Cold Steve Austin in the ring, dishing out stunners. His music hit. I got to see all of it one more time. I really loved it as a fan. But I would worry that you're gonna dust off Austin for millions of dollars and get him to come out to fight maybe CM Punk. Hey, don't get me wrong. CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of Matt's little dream matches that he never was able to see. Big brawl at WrestleMania? yeah, it could actually happen. I mean, if Punk, just sidebar here, and fantasy booking, but if Punk ends up finishing up with Rollins before Mania, and you have like Rollins versus Reigns, for example, CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin is maybe on the table, and you don't have a big window to run with that whole plan. Same with The Rock and Roman Reigns. Something that was rumored to happen, seemed like it was going to happen, and it didn't. And now I don't think that it will ever happen. But Austin is somebody that you might see one more time, where it is just, let's bring him out at the Royal Rumble or an Elimination Chamber, ticket sales are down, let's have him come out and announce that he's gonna go one more time with somebody. And then two other names I have on the list, the Hardys. Now they're in TNA, and there's obvious partnerships with WWE there, and the Hardys being in TNA, I mean, they could just show up on main roster tomorrow. We're getting the Hardys and Dudleys one more time in TNA. Like, we just need Edge and Christian in there, and we're all set. So I get it from a nostalgia standpoint, pop the crowd, ratings boost, I get it. And same with Edge, as I mentioned, somebody else that could show up in WWE one more time. He had his farewell, he had his last match on SmackDown against Sheamus, then he went off to AEW. If his contract rumors are true and he's up and he doesn't re-sign with AEW, WWE might want Adam Copeland, Edge, to make his comeback and have a final run where it is maybe just one more match. And that, it kind of ends my list, at least off the top of my head, of some of the names that you could dust off. But then what? This is where I go back to what is maybe the title of this video is, and the main idea is WWE can't really keep this up. You're gonna run out of stars. All these names could show up, retire, have their retirement, their last run, all within the next 12 months. Sure, you inked a brand new ESPN deal. Netflix era has begun. We're not even a full year into Netflix. SmackDown is on USA for the next couple of years, but we'll see where that goes. And they keep doing the big international shows, expanding the product globally. That's great, but they want to keep bringing in big names from the past that people recognize, that have some cachet, that have some name value, to be able to bring them out there and go again. Nothing wrong with it, just that once 2026, 2027 hits, who's left? You won't have Austin, Cena's gone, The Rock is probably done, Goldberg, you're retired, and the list goes on. And then your main roster, and I've talked about some of this in a different video about how they might have a main event problem. They might have that main event problem in just a few years, where some of the older names, and I put in the quotes for older because they're not old by age necessarily, like the top guys. They're in their 40s or late 30s, but older in terms of them wrestling, that they have been around for so long that they might start to wind down. Roman Reigns is probably the biggest example, where he's said publicly that he's coming towards the end of his run. And so it feels like once this big crop of 2000s legends are officially done and retired, they're gonna need a new wave of part-time legends that they can pull from. And I think that it might take them around 2028, 2030 for them to fill that funnel once again. They might have a bit of a drought. Probably not. I mean, I'm just a fan, so I don't know. It could keep everything moving in a healthy cycle for many years, and people may not notice it. But I could also see where there is a drought. I mean, people will say in the comments right now that WWE is in a big drought right now. All the creative is very mid and it's all boring and bland. But from the superstar standpoint, the legend, the big names coming back or making an appearance, I think once this current crop of names is done officially, you look at the likes of a Roman Reigns showing up for just a WrestleMania, CM Punk in the next couple of years being done, maybe giving you the WrestleMania match, the one time. Seth Rollins seems to just wrestle forever, so I don't know what happens with Seth. Cody Rhodes, your WWE champion. Cody might have 5 more years. We don't know, but in the next 3, does Cody start doing the Roman Reigns thing? Almost feels like he does right now. But does he take much more of an extended break and Cody comes back as a special attraction? Brock Lesnar, probably done too. Your Attitude Era, your Ruthless Aggression Era, PG era wrestlers, superstars are probably going to be all gone. And I just really do wonder, it's a little curiosity I have of where they could be in the next couple of years. Are they doing too much now, where it's this game with TKO of more, gimme, we need big names, giant, everything is just massive. Meanwhile, for a lot of fans, they feel the creative isn't there, the week-to-week programming isn't very compelling. I guess the counterpoint is the live audience, the live crowd that WWE talks about, that they listen to so very much, loves it. Arenas are sold out. Tickets are being sold. These giant SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleManias where tickets are costing thousands of dollars, they're selling out. People are showing up. So until they stop paying, I don't think anything really changes from that front in terms of maybe the creative or ticket prices. But we don't have any of the names showing up anymore, like Rock, Stone Cold, AJ Lee, Chris Jericho, whoever else. What are they gonna do? They might actually have to rely on their current crop of talent they have, their everyday talent. And this was something that WWE went through not too long ago, where it felt like everybody was wrestling week after week, but then they would constantly just shove in the legends to take the spots. Kind of what CM Punk's original pipe bomb argument was all about. The Rock would just swoop in, have the match with John Cena, and he was gone. And the likes of Punk and others, Daniel Bryan, they were there every single week grinding it out. Brock Lesnar showing up, and on it went. Kind of feels like they might go through another cycle like that, but maybe it's just me. But I'd love to know your thoughts. I kind of just want to have a discussion, conversation with you about this. Are they going to run into a big problem with legends? And I mentioned AJ Lee, WrestlePalooza. Click here, full predictions, early predictions of what could happen at WrestlePalooza. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. See ya.